Today I'm dressed up like your dad on vacation. I am wearing a silly button up, I am wearing shorts, and I am wearing socks with sandals. Not pictured because I don't want to be on wiki feet. It is like 110 outside, and because it's summertime, that means I get to tell you about all the cool school assignments I did at art school this semester. If you haven't noticed, on the wall behind me, there is something new. I'm gonna give you 3 seconds to guess what the new thing is. 3, 2, 1... You're right, it's this aluminum paint palette. Last semester, spring 2024, I took the eclectic variety of classes. Today we're focusing on the assignment I made in my Sculpture 2 class. I'm ready for some more shenanigans, okay? What I'm not ready for is to be the only person in Sculpture 2. The only person. The sculpture classes work similarly to an open studio where you have the Sculpture 1, Sculpture 2, and any advanced studio students. They're all in the same room, all at the same time slot. I was just like the only person in the morning class doing Sculpture 2, which was kind of sad for me because I yearn for companionship and I cannot stop yapping. No matter where I go, I'm a yapper through and through. So the first day, I basically don't have anything to do because I just got the assignment, so I can't do any of my work on it until like I actually design it. So I left class early with my professor's permission, I think. He said, you can go if you want, and I left. And so I mock up some designs. At first I kind of thought about doing the Webkinz logo. I had a variety of things, but I ended up settling on this paint palette design because it's my new logo, baby! Alicia's Enterprises now has a logo! You can get it on merch, you can get it on sweaters, you can buy it on stickers and coloring sheets. Yes, I'm shamelessly plugging the merch, okay? What can a girl do? So I kind of had this idea for a paint palette because I am a person who literally cannot stick to one medium of art or just one hobby in general. I kind of thought this was a fun way to encapsulate my being of self because I could do the paint on the palette as different shapes, kind of showing my variety of different interests as a person and as an artist. I knew exactly what the process was going to be because the previous semester in my 3D design class, we did this. My goals for this was to number 1, finish it and get an A. B, number 2, when I had done this last time, I did a like medallion of a ship. So basically, I didn't really clean the clay out of my mold enough, and I also did not put as much work as I wish I had because I just kind of didn't care. And I just knew I wanted to do better and I knew what I needed to do better on. So to start off, before you even make your mold, you have to make your relief, which we're making a relief. That's what the technical term for this is called. And you start off with a piece of purple foam, cut out in the shape you want. In my case, paint palette, I used the heat knife that I have and it worked wonderfully to cut out the shape that I wanted. And then you cover it with clay. I spent probably the first week of class rolling out clay. This was really hard because our clay warmer broke over the winter break. So I was rolling out cold clay in the middle of January and it just was not working well for me. Also, I am just 2 to 5 inches too short for everything in the sculpture lab. It's absolutely infuriating because I'd be on my tiptoes to roll this clay out. It was so embarrassing, guys. How do I get taller? I'm 20. I'm not getting any taller. I can't just wear heels in the sculpture lab. That's ridiculous. So this is how you roll out the clay. You use this special board that has these edges that make it so you roll it out evenly, and you have to flip it over each time you roll because it will get stuck to the board otherwise. And this is what the sheets will look like once they're all laid out. And it's very hard work, and especially if it's cold. In the summer, it's a lot easier to roll out clay just because it's just warmer in general here in Arizona.
And next step is basically putting it on the paint palette shape and just smoothing out and blending the lines together so you have a flat surface. And this is one of the steps that I took extra time with because I hadn't the previous time I did it. And I'm really glad I did to make sure everything was nice and even.
So after I've covered my foam piece in clay on the top and the sides, then I can actually get to sculpting my like shapes. And this was pretty easy. However, to get the oil clay super smooth, you do have to cover it and like smooth it out with baby oil, and I wasn't a fan of this at all. It was kind of weird to do. It did not feel great, but it got really good results. Sculpture is like sensory play all of the time. Like, it's fun, it's great. However, like 25% of the sensory stuff is evil. Like, really evil.
So this was definitely one of my favorite parts of the project, despite the fact that oil clay gets like underneath your nails forever. I liked sculpting out the eyes and the stars the most, and one of the most satisfying things was using the baby oil. It just left a weird residue on your hands and sometimes on the clay. Because I was too shy to go talk to the Sculpture 1 students, I was watching movies on my phone at this point, and I had watched Princess Diary 1, Princess Diary 2, and I think Tangled. Once I kind of got the basis of my shapes carved out, I just like started smoothing them out. One of the harder shapes to do was both the spirals and the squares, because they just like, I wanted the squares to be like really nice and even, but I don't know if you've met me, I can't make anything straight or even to save my life. Looking at this video, my hair was so short. I think I might cut it back to that length again. I don't know. I'll have to wait till after the summer because I need to keep my hair up in the heat. But that's how it was looking.
So after the clay bit is all like done, the next thing you do is you make your sand mold. So first you gotta make a square that's about 2 inches bigger than the piece that you were casting out of like wood. You gotta make a wood frame basically, and that's gonna like be the mold for your mold. And then you mix up resin and sand in this giant mixer, and then you put it around the thing and on top of it, and then you have half of your mold. You might recall, I am the only person in Sculpture 2, and I spent like afterwards like 30 minutes cleaning out the mixer, and it built character, but not the good kind of character. It filled me with sadness. So after me and my professor built the sand mold, it was way too heavy for me to like carry or move. So I did this fairly small. It's not super big. Here's a hand for scale. I want to say it's like 11 by 11, but the sand mold for that was so freaking heavy. But I could take my clay out and I could achieve my second goal, getting my clay out. Now, this time we used graphite as our release agent, and the graphite worked incredible. The previous time I had done a sand mold, we used cornstarch and it didn't work at all. But graphite, oh my goodness, guys, it came out in one piece. That is miraculous. Unless you've done a sand mold, you're not gonna like really understand how beautiful that is. But let me tell you, I showed my classmate from my 3D design class that, and she like almost wept. She was like, that is so beautiful. We spent a while having to clean out our molds. By we, I mean her, because I didn't clean out my mold at all, and that's why my casting looked bad.
So I'd previously already successfully achieved my goal of taking my time on my clay relief and like really just polishing it up. So this was like the moment for me to figure out if I was going to actually clean my mold or not, because I know myself. I know if the clay was really stuck in there, I probably wasn't going to take the time and clean it out. But when I was taking it out because it was cold outside, and in the new release agent being powdered graphite, it worked incredibly well. Look at that, like it's intact. Like if I wanted to, I could put my clay relief back together and make a whole nother mold. Because I didn't really need to clean my mold because everything came out so well, the next step was to carve my gates and my vents into the mold. This was hard. I needed my professor's help for it. And then you covered it in powdered graphite, which you'll see here. Both sides are covered with graphite. And then then once your two sides are prepped, you band it together and it'll look something like this. And it is all prepped for the metal pour. How exciting!
Then after that, here's the part where I didn't get a lot of footage because I actually had to go ask people for help because I couldn't move the sand mold myself. It was like 50 pounds. I'm not very strong, you guys. I don't know if you've seen me. I'm the epitome of scrawny, pale, and small. After which, I actually helped cast my piece in aluminum, and by help, my professor had me scrape the top of the aluminum because I wasn't really qualified or very strong enough to pour the metal.
And obviously, I needed help taking my mold apart, but this is what it looked like fresh out of the mold, and it had the gating on it still, but it looks so cool.
And then the final step was to patina it. And to patina it, I used my favorite alcohol ink. And I took a little paintbrush and I just painted it on. I started from red and went all the way to purple. And then once I had all the base colors in, I kind of went in and blended colors together to give it kind of a like rainbow look. Voice over me, who's editing the video right now, she's going to describe it so much better than me. She's going to be eloquent and put together.
Obviously, I skipped over cutting the gating and the vents out. I was also told during my critique that I'm too shy with the tool to take the gating off, which is called a grinder, which is true. And so you can see it's kind of rough on the edges where the gating was in the grand reveal footage. But for patina, I'm using alcohol inks. I tested it on the back of the paint palette to see what colors I had and what they would look like. And you can see I have my little name, my signature, and we're starting with red and we go into yellow, then green, and I kind of had to mix my own orange. And after I lay down the base colors, then I go and I mix like the colors next to each other.
Thank you, Voice Over Me, for being amazing, beautiful, show-stopping, incredible, adorable. Let me know how you feel about the disco lights in the comments. If you hate them and they make you nauseous and you think it's awful and that I should never use the disco lights ever again, let me know. Or if you love the disco light lava lamp combo, if you love it, let me know. All of that being said, I hope you have an awesome day, night, evening, morning, dinner time, summertime, or if you are in a plane beyond the existence of time, or if you are time itself. Have an awesome day! Live, laugh, love. And peace out.